Aloha, everybody. This is Cathy Bilsky, the Quantum Leap, Let Light Unite. And this is February 12th, 2026. Today, I wanted to do something very, very different. And I wanted to share with you about an old ancient civilization that was on our planet that was systematically erased by the powers that be. Now, I'm going to ask that everything you've been told about history, I want you to put it on the shelf. I'm going to ask that you listen to this with an open mind, because I'm going to tell you a tale of what was actually true and what was erased from our history. Now, to do this, I'm going to go back in time. And again, I want you to keep an open mind and remember, those that are the winners create history. And I want to ask you guys, how many of you remember what actually happened in the 1800s, the early 1900s? How many of you are still alive that you can say for sure you knew what happened, other than what our history books have been rewritten and told us? So I'm going to go back in time, way far back in time, to a period where, history says this time period may have existed, but may not have, and it could be fantasy. And I'm going to go back to the time of Atlantis and Lemuria. Now, the Atlanteans were very warrior-like. They were into machines. You can see how they're alive today with what they have done. I mean, we have a warrior planet, don't we? The Lemurians were different. They understood energy. They understood vibrations, and they healed that way. They were very peaceful. Now, when Atlantis and Lemuria was destructed, I believe a lot of these beings actually made it to land. And some of them landed in what is known now as Russia, China, and Mongolia. And at that time, way back in the 1700s and earlier, it was known as Tartaria, a totally and completely different land. They had an emperor. They were so sophisticated, guys. So sophisticated. They lived and with energy. They were at one with the earth. They knew how to build using energy and vibrations, buildings that healed people. Now, this civilization lived side by side, I will say, with the Atlanteans. So you've got the Lemurians, the old ancient Lemurians, that remembered how to work with vibration and sound and healing. And then you have the Atlanteans, who were warriors. Now, they lived side by side for hundreds of years, thousands of years. And then all of a sudden, the Atlanteans decided, we can't have two processes working together, and one of them's got to go. So they're looking now, what processes are we talking about? We're talking about people that knew how to heal using sound, vibration, and were totally at one with the earth. And then we have the other group who wanted to control us, who wanted to control all our resources, and we are living it. This is the road we were tossed into. We didn't have a choice. They purposely took us down the road of lack so they could control us instead of having free energy. And you've remembered Tesla? He was working with free energy. And what did they do with him? Anyone that wanted free energy for the people has been destroyed throughout history, and they're still destroying it. Because they want us to have lack, they want control of what we have, what we don't have, and they want us as a slave system. Now let's kind of go back and look at what Tartaria had. They were huge. Their buildings, we see them today. They totally didn't destroy their buildings, they repurposed them. And you've seen these old castles and the basilica, very ornate. You've seen the old our buildings, the capitals, with huge, huge doors. I mean, we're like this size, and the doors are like this because there were giants back then. And the buildings were purposely built for them, and they have been systematically killed and removed throughout the years. Now, the Tartarians were so evolved. They would build, and we're talking in Russia, and guys, this information is out there, just look it up. They built buildings that resonated with the earth, that put out sound and vibration and frequency that made everybody happy and was healing. And when the Atlantean reptilians decided, no, we can't have that, they started destroying the buildings. And all they had to do was tweak the buildings. And if you look at the old pictures of these buildings, you're going to see how they were set up to pull in energy, free energy. Okay. So what the Russians did is they would systematically change everything. And this wasn't just the Russians, this was all over the world. They would change the buildings a little bit. So it destroyed the frequency. Now, the old people say that lived in these villages, they were so in tune, they could recognize when this happened. And they were systematically killed, or they were threatened. You either keep your mouth shut, or we're going to destroy your family. And they did this slowly. And I'm going to say the powers that be, who are in charge right now? We have Atlanteans in charge of our lives. You see a lot of peace going on. Oops. Nope, you're going to see a lot of war. That is Atlantean. Lemurian is peaceful. They didn't need those kind of resources that our governments go at war for. Oh, it'll stop soon. All right, so, and this was when they decided to get rid of Tartaria. Again, this is mostly around where Russia is, China is, Mongolia. Russia went in and literally started destroying the buildings and started going after the Tartarians and killing them. They wanted to erase their knowledge, to erase everything they've done. Everything. All their free energy. And I'm saying free energy. They harnessed free energy, guys. And the people that are in charge didn't want that. Now, if we had free energy, we would live differently. We would be in harmony with the earth and the planet, and we would be healthy. So what Russia decided to do in the 1700s, they literally went after Tartaria to try to destroy them and all their buildings. And I remember reading, Russia was so warlike that they went after 4 countries in the 1700s with war. Now I don't remember the countries, it was all in the Baltic, but I do remember that Russia overcame these countries in one day. 4 countries. They conquered them in one day. Now, what kind of military equipment did you have in the 1700s that allowed you to conquer a country in one day? Yeah, I ask you that. So Russia was very warlike. All our governments colluded together on how they were going to get rid of these people, get rid of their information. And they decided to do it by simply not talking about it anymore, like they didn't exist. And they were very, very successful. But again, there's enough clues out there to know that there was a very intelligent past, very evolved civilization. And look at the old buildings. Look how ornate they are. We can't build stuff like this. Look what we build now. We build boxes and squares, buildings, and go, oh my God, isn't that amazing? No, it's not amazing. It's simple, it's easy, it's stupid. There's no creativity in what we have now. And again, if you can't explain why these buildings have their doorways, 20 feet tall? We don't need that. We're short. So during the time of Tartaria, they had very tall people, over 7, 8 foot, and they had very short people. They had midgets, and they were systematically wiped out. Now in England, there were, and they've got pictures of this, whole neighborhoods of of buildings, and the doorways were fit for midgets. Their furniture was fit for midgets, and they were systematically destroyed, the buildings. Now, during the time of Tartaria, what happened is the little people did intricate work because they had little hands, and it was easy for them to do. The giants, they did other work that was in harmony with with their size and what they did. They created buildings all over the world in such harmony. And I'm talking office complexes that the buildings themselves would keep, in the summertime, keep the buildings cool, and in the wintertime, keep it warm. They invented and created in those buildings places where you could keep food forever. We don't have that stuff now. And again, those buildings, a lot of them were repurposed and modernized. And as they modernized the buildings, they destroyed them. They destroyed the energy. They destroyed the healing properties. But they're still there. They've erased Tartaria from history, where they said, oh, it was just a territory. Nothing, that's all it meant. Well, it wasn't. And when Russia was taking over, I mean, you look at our history, you think the Tartars were, all they did was move around in tents. They were nomadic, but they weren't. They had incredible houses that when Russia was taking over their lands, they were forcing the Tartarians to sell their property and sell their homes. Now, if you got a tent home, what's there to sell and buy? These Tartarians were systematically sent away. They were scattered, and many, many letters were found with the Tartarians telling their descendants, don't look back, don't look into your history, because if you do, they will come for you. And they will systematically kill you, which is what they did with all the old people, which is why they want to get rid of the old people now. We have memory. We remember stuff. What, the kids aren't going to remember what we went through? I'm 73. I remember an awesome life I had without electronics. These kids won't unless we share that knowledge with them of what it used to be like and what it can be like again. But if you get rid of us and silence us, what do they know? And that's what they did in the 18th and 19th century. If you were Tartarian, if you even remembered what life was like, what the buildings were like, you were threatened. Either shut up or we will kill you and your family, or they just killed them off. You know, you get rid of the old people who remember, and another generation or two, it's totally forgotten. Unfortunately, for the guys that are in power, and we do have Atlanteans in power, make no mistake, there have been enough clues out there to help us remember what they want us to forget. That it is possible to run a country on free energy. Now that scares the powers that be because they're going to lose a lot of money, huh? And that was the difference between Lemuria and Atlanteans. Atlanteans lack. Lemurians' life was full of abundance because they were at one with the earth, one with the world, and they understood, they were so highly evolved, they understood free energy and how to pull it from the air and how to create buildings in such a way that it harnessed this energy. And people were happy and content until the Atlanteans decided we can't have two systems anymore. Our system of lack is going to become the primary system, and we're going to destroy everything else. And they did. Now, I'm going to ask you guys, if this interests you, go look up Tartaria. There are so many videos out there. People have already done the research. All you have to do is sit down and listen. And if it doesn't make you angry, I don't know what to say. It makes me angry. It hurts my soul to know what we could have become, what we can become. But the powers that are in power right now, they don't want it. Why? Because they're not going to make money from it. It's all about money, greed, and power and lack of. And now we're going into what we are going into now, and what? Oh, we're lacking. We got to be careful of this. We're not going to have this anymore. We're not going to have, we got to need this. And we're going to charge you more money for it. You want energy in your house, we're going to charge you more energy. Well, they couldn't do that if it was free energy, could they? So it's all about greed, power. Remember, guys, look this information up. Spread it out there. Let people know what they destroyed and what we could have become and what we can become, because trust me, that knowledge is out there. And how do we retrieve it? That's a good question. Through the history books. It's out there. So on that note, guys, I am going to leave you. Thank you for tuning in. Share it. Share the knowledge. Go investigate Tartaria. It was a real advanced civilization, which the powers in B, Russia, Mongolia, China, Europe, has decided we don't need that information. So we're just going to erase it from our minds, erase it from history. Well, they forgot to really, do something great with the buildings, other than saying we repurposed them. I mean, we built these buildings. Have you seen some of these buildings and how intricate they are? And for our government to say, oh yeah, we built them in the 1700s, where they were buggies and using hand tools. I don't think so. You got to go beyond the lies. Be skeptical. Don't believe the crap we're being told, because there is an alternative, and it's free energy. And I'm going to ask that all you people out there that are working on free energy, I'm going to ask that you are really, really, given everything you need and able to tap into this old knowledge, which is there and waiting to come back to the surface. All right, guys, on that note, I'm going to ask you have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. And check out Tartaria. Do your own research. It really is important. We can shift everything in this lifetime, in our lifetime. It's going to take a lot of people. Tartaria, it was the golden age. It was a time where we were enlightened. They were. The Atlanteans, Europe, some of Europe, and that they weren't. They want greed, they want power, and they want us as slaves. The Tartarians, they didn't need slaves, and they didn't need robots, and they didn't need computers. They were totally tapped into the earth and what was really important. All right, guys, that's it for me. Got any questions? Ask. Let's talk about it. On that note, have a lovely day and aloha.